I'm thinking to start with a topic that maybe seems kind of obvious, that why is it worth to learn a language? But I think maybe my reasons are not exactly the typical ones, so let's see. All right, so I'm gonna try to stay away from the obvious, like that languages really expand your chances when it comes to getting a better job, or when it comes to expanding your business abroad and things like that, because we know that, and in many companies it's absolutely necessary to speak another language. So I'm not saying that. I've just said it, but yeah, I'm not saying that. But I have this deep conviction that when you speak more than one language, it's like you live more lives. And it kind of allows you to see the world through the eyes of another culture, and for me it's insanely enriching. Because there's just, I think that we are here on this planet to experience, and then staying just within the language that is our native language, I think we kind of are a bit stuck, and we don't get to experience the world as much as we could. So totally, when you learn a language, it's just that you get this expanded view, and you are able to experience so much more, and you are able to also see the world differently. That is also, I think that's a common thing of languages plus traveling, because when you travel you just see things that are so different than what you are used to, and usually you cannot see that, because if there was no white, how would you know that black is black, right? And that's the same thing. I mean, you live your life every day, do the same things, and we don't even think of how repetitive everything is. But then when you travel, everything is so refreshing and different. That's pretty awesome. So that's the same thing with a language. When you start to immerse in a language, and that's an absolute necessary thing if you want to learn a language quickly, then when you immerse, you listen to the radio, you watch series or TV in that language, you read the books, you just try to be as much in touch with the language as you can. So obviously you get access to different way of thinking and looking at the world, because we are conditioned by where we live and who we are. I mean, I wish we weren't, but well. So I think it's just such a great opportunity to live more fully. That's how I see it. Thing number 2. I'm super curious if you have the same. Because for me, learning another language is also about self-improvement. And not to mention that, when you learn a language, it includes things like, learning how to learn, learning how to focus, learning how to memorize, learning how to, get organized so that you can find time for the languages. There's gonna be another video about that, so I'm not gonna expand that too much. But there is this thing that when you get the access to another culture, another way of speaking, another dynamics of, for example, human relationships, for me it's a chance to learn something about myself, but also to learn how to be different. We have a certain set of behaviors that are typical behaviors for us. And what is personal growth or development? It's when you learn other types of, for example, reacting to different things, so that you have more options at your disposal. So it's sort of like you have a certain way of thinking and acting, but then, for instance, the more you see different behaviors, the more prone you are to them, and the more probable is that you're going to actually learn that and use that. And for instance, for me, these were things like from Portugal. What I took when learning Portuguese was this whole concept of saudade, which is this this kind of very specific type of longing, sort of like melancholic, but it's kind of like sometimes sad, but it's not exactly sad, because it has this beautiful aspect within. And you know, this was the thing I was usually cutting out of my life, because I thought, let's be positive, let's spread good vibes. But life has many colors, and it is important to be able to experience them and process them, because if not, that is like you're rejecting a part of yourself. And Portuguese saudade helps me sort of accept that within myself, because Portuguese people are proud of that, and they see that as their national trait, and it is. So I was living in Portugal every now and then for some time, and I absolutely loved it, that they have this deep ability to connect with some sort of longing that's within them. And for me, it's closely connected to mindfulness and, you know, being here and now and feeling what you actually feel. So that's the Portuguese thing. But when it comes to German and Germans, I did learn from them this sort of always being polite and proper. I like it. I mean, I'm really chaotic, as like that's my nature, and it helped me see that, you know, at times it's really useful to be different than I usually am. I think it's an important quality. Then the Latin culture, it's just a chance to be more open, to, you know, to dance, to sing, to enjoy, to really focus on following your joy, and you know, and don't stress too much. Don't think like, oh, this report's gonna kill me. Well, no, yeah, let's take a coffee first. I do get stressed sometimes, and I have this sort of like freaking out kind of mode built in. So after I adopted this thing from the Spanish culture, like maybe more like Latin culture, then now I see that at the usual moments when I would be totally freaking out by that time, I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, I'm not gonna die because of that, so it's cool, I can take it. And it's just so refreshing, and it's just I love it, because it just gives me this kind of joy within my everyday tasks, you know. So definitely for me, language learning is something that allows you to change who you are a bit. And the coolest part is that you know, the culture you are being brought up in definitely does have a lot of impact. And the cool part when you learn a language is that you are more mature and conscious, so you can just take the things that actually suit you, that actually make you feel better about yourself, and that make your life better. And I love it, because it's just like, you know, cherry picking what's good for me. And if there are some qualities that I don't exactly like, I just don't learn them. Like, I think like, okay, they do it like that, I respect that, but I don't want to do it, it's not me. But if I see something that maybe I could benefit from, like, you know, I used to be shy, and I see that they are so open, they touch each other, they are just so, they just seem so confident in it. How about I try that? And when I actually do it, like, from the bottom of my heart, it's gonna work. So, you know, that's just a matter of choice. Like, I choose to do that. I choose to, to start that. I forgot the third point, but now I remember. Super personal thing, but I'm also now kind of curious if you have the same. I kind of also learn for books. I'm a major reader, and I do feel that sometimes there are things that get lost in translation. So I do learn languages so that I can read literature that I love, that I feel so passionate about in the language that the author wrote it. And it's a big difference. And of course there are books that are translated very well, that's cool, but I think it's always better to read the original. And I know that, you know, probably this, you can maybe, you know, feel that if you also love reading. I think it's just this way, again, it's about accessing this other world, you know. Why do we read books? Just to experience something, right? To experience something that potentially we would never experience in our life. So, so then I want to be able to experience that fully. So these are my 3 reasons why is it worth to learn a language. And I'm super curious about you guys, because first of all, I'm curious if you feel the same way about some of the things I mentioned, but also I bet you have other reasons too. Frankly, it's hard for me to see why not learn a language. So I'm sure you can share a lot of stuff too. Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel if you like this video. That's the very first one. So let's see what follows. I don't want it to be too long, you know, because people ain't got time. There was one more thing and now I forgot. Ah, no! Yeah.